What is up, everybody? Good evening. How are you? It is good to see you. It is good to be seen by you, or Swamp, depending on where you are. Welcome to the show, guys. I, of course, am the one and only Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, coming to you live, loud, and clear on a Thursday evening. And thank you for all letting me slide yesterday. I was had to get out of the house. My most excellent sound engineer was actually here in town, and I was able to go hang out with him. He's a couple states away, and so he was here, and he was like, "We got to get together." So we went down to Gods and Monsters. We had a drink at Gods and Monsters. We grabbed some dinner at Bubbaloo's Barbecue. Fantastic place. It's not a paid endorsement. I just really like their barbecue. So if you're in the Orlando area, give them a check. But yeah, and we shot the breeze. We solved the world's problems as men my age do when we sit down, our age, I should say, when we sit down and talk about things. So hopefully he will be able to be back here. That, by the way, it's Bo Ganora, in case you're wondering who I'm talking about. If you guys watch when the credits roll past, that's Bo Ganora. But anyway, listen, let me ask you a favor. I know I'm putting a lot on you, particularly if you're just stopping by for the first time and you haven't done this already, like right out of the chute. I'm like, hey, do me a favor. But really, do me a favor. If you would, if you haven't already, if you have, don't undo it and then do it, because it screws with the metrics. Click the subscribe button and click the bell icon for notifications, please. That is exceptionally helpful. And it doth help around these parts greatly, because we have to do the dramatic call to action spin. Folks, I'm shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm still. We are being actively suppressed. They don't want you to see it. But no, all kidding aside, yes, please click the subscribe button, click the bell icon for notifications, and it would just be very cool, because then you find out about wonderful stuff like our live plays, our deep dives on TTRPG products, and nights when we have cool guests like we're about to have tonight. But anyway, that is coming up here momentarily. Speaking of things, there's something that I would like to show you guys. Now, you may see this kind of little wibbly text right about here on the screen. This is kind of serendipitous. Now, folks, I have never said, please donate to the show. Please give me money. That's, the option exists for you to do. But the question came up the other day. Somebody asked, hey, if I buy you a coffee, because there's the buy me a coffee link scrolling down at the bottom right there. But if I buy you a coffee, will it show up on screen? And in that particular time, I didn't know that was a thing. That is actually a thing. That is a tool they've added. I'm kind of experimenting with where I want it. So like if you buy a coffee, there'll be a little animation that pops up over here. Which I should have left that up to show you guys what that looks like. But it's not, again, you don't have to. I'm just letting you know, if you do go the buy me a coffee donation route, yes, it will show up on the screen. And it will show up right about in this place. I think it'll play a little jingle and a little animation. If it does, I'm going to kind of work on something that's maybe a little bit more me-centric than whatever their default is going to be. Yeah, JP got rockets. Exactly. If folks want to give away money, I won't turn it away. Thor, hello. St. Cuthbert, thank you very much. Brian Smaller from New England. He's not smaller. He's just really far away. I said New England, New Zealand. That's even further away. Ultra American TTRPG are asking the important questions. Is there supposed to be music with the intro? Yes-ish. Now, this has nothing to do with Bards of Greyhawk, who are swell guys We love Bards of Greyhawk around here. I have no dispute with Bards of Greyhawk whatsoever. CD Baby, the company that I guess sells their music, uses a content matching system, an AI scraper that runs across YouTube, and it finds anything that has music that belongs to them and issues a copyright complaint to YouTube. This is not the same thing as a copyright strike. I am not being struck by copyright, which would be bad, because if you get 3 of those, YouTube just deletes your channel forever. And unless you are like, you know, a PewDiePie level person, they're never going to reinstate it. YouTube hates you if you're a small creator. But it is a notification that, hey, they say this belongs to them, so any revenue you're getting off this video goes to them, or half the revenue you get off this video goes to them. Bards of Greyhawk put the song Summer Mountains, which is the opening credits music that I have, on a CD. And consequently, CD Baby, every video I've used it on, which numbers something around 1,000 maybe, gets that notification. Sometimes I get 5 a day, sometimes I get 20 a day. And I have to go through and I have to contest every single one of them. And then it takes 30 days to resolve. And in those 30 days, I'm not making any money from any of the videos that featured their music. So I've turned it off. Going forward, it won't be on any of my videos. And that's a shame, but that's just how it's got to be. Going forward, I'm not going to be using it. If they come back and they're like, you know, yeah, we're deleting that album from YouTube, or we're deleting that album from our catalog, and then going to re-upload it without Summer Mountains, and you can just play it full song, section of the song, whatever, then I'll do that. But until or unless something like that happens, yes, the opening credits are silent. It's not some weird ass protest where I'm like, you know, showing my ass at Bards of Greyhawk, because I love those guys and it's fine. So yeah, it's that's just how it's got to be. Now, every time I've gone in and issued a contested it. So far, everyone's come back and they're like, we've released our claim on your video. I have not but once, maybe twice, gotten where they're like, yeah, we're not releasing this. And those may be videos where I played the entire song for you guys, because I like to do that. And I did file counterclaims on those. So I filed a counterclaim. They said, no, it belongs to us. And then I filed a counterclaim appeal on those. So we'll see what happens with those few instances. But every other one they have released. But I won't go forward using their music unless something changes. Someday in the future, there will be different music. Some people have said, oh, you can, you know, oh, you can buy this song on Fiverr, or, you know, you can do this or you can do that. Guys, I don't trust anything that I do not wholly and completely own. Owl Bear was given to me by Bob Antone. He said, this is your song here. Well, that version of it anyway. But nothing else, like, you know, oh, use this, just click this link and then click this thing and then click allow and then put this in your, guys. YouTube YouTube is like a minefield, but the mines deactivate and activate periodically. You could have like a 20-yard clear run forward. Oh, we switched on a mine right in front of you. Or you think you're surrounded. Oh, we turned them off. And then you tentatively start taking steps forward. So just use YouTube allowed music. I don't trust them at all. Okay. I do not trust them. Not even a little tiny scintilla do I trust them. Vinny, I enjoyed the song too. I guess go buy whatever Bards of Greyhawk album that they stuck it on. All right. So listen, that's oh my gosh, there, I missed it. Someone through it goes pretty fast. I guess I should pay more attention to my screen, but you guys saw it. You guys saw it over there. So someone was kind enough to let me see. Now I gotta go in my email like an old person. Ultra TTRPGer bought me a copy. Thank you very much, Ultra TTRPGer, for buying me a copy. I appreciate it. It works. Okay, well, you know what else works? What else works is having awesome guests on my show, because we like doing that. And this cat, let me tell you, he and I ran into each other over on Twitter, TTRPG. He has done a thing that is glorious to behold. Now, normally, like, I'm kind of 50-50 on VOSR, but when I saw what this guy was doing, like, I was transfixed. He's out there. He sells his game in a wood grain box that looks like the first 1,500 OD&D boxes. And I was like blown away by that. That was so super cool. And so so you guys heard a noise. I can't hear the noise, but when someone buys it. But anyway, so yeah, I was like, dude, you got to come on the show. You got to come on the show. So here he is to talk about Barrows and Borderlands and just about anything else he wants to discuss. Everybody, please put your hands together for Matthew Tapp. Matthew, good evening to you, sir.
Howdy, howdy. How are y'all doing?
I can't complain. I could, but nobody listens. Anyway, dude, welcome to the show. It's really great to be able to finally kick back and talk to you and have you on the show, because I am absolutely loving what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Matthew. I'm from small town in South Carolina, and I made Barrows and Borderlands. And it's a weird science fantasy, old school style role-playing game set in a dark radioactive wasteland of magic, black powder, and dragons. So it's OD&D with a twist. But yeah, I've been playing TTRPGs for about a decade with my group, a little over that now. And we've got a lot of the same guys playing with us, and they convinced me to publish our rules that we use in our campaign.
Nice.
So there we go.
So you say you've been at this for a decade, and I mean, you know, I mean, absolutely no offense, but you know, I've got shoes older than that. And the reason I say it like that is like you have thoroughly embraced the original D&D vibe, and it's not just an aesthetic though, right? You've built on the original D&D rules, right?
Yeah, it's it is sort of a OD&D or the Holmes Basic at its core, and then on top of that, I've got a lot of Metamorphosis Alpha influences, some Gamma World influences, and then we just hacked it to bits. You know, we took the skeleton and turned it into something for our home table. But yeah, it's based on that core system.
That is fantastic that you started your TTRPG journey in 2014, but with original D&D. How did you decide?
Well,
like, I mean, because most people, when you say, yeah, I started playing D&D in the 20 teens, it's like I started with 5th edition, or when I was a little kid, my older brother played 3E or 4E, and that's where I started. But I mean, you're out of the chute. You're embracing a 40-year-old D&D rule set.
Well, the first box or the first set that we played and when I was in high school was the 5th edition starter set. And then, because before that, I had not heard of Dungeons and Dragons other than my dad used to play it and stuff like that.
All right.
And one of my friends showed up to school with the box set. And, we just got into it, but we didn't really read the rules that much for quite a long time. And then eventually, we decided, maybe this isn't really the best game, because I grew up watching stuff like Conan the Barbarian and old sword and sorcery movies with my dad. And you couldn't really get that feel from 5th edition. It was more Marvel superheroes. So, we eventually started moving backwards. So it was a start from 5th edition, and then we progressed backwards. And once I landed on OD&D, I was like, oh, here we go. This is where I want to stop. And then we morphed it from there.
Wow. So you returned to Monkey. You looked at 5e and said, this once. I'm going back to the roots. I'm digging in with both hands into OD&D. So, did you now a lot of people's entry to OD&D these days is they kind of take a sideways route, which I mean, I'm not being an elitist here. Okay. I mean, if you want a white box set, it's going to set you back a pretty penny. Right. So a lot of people, they go the route of Swords and Wizardry, or OSE or something like that. Did you when you kind of started your quest, your buildings romance, your story journey of going back to that essential, to the root, to the fundament of D&D, did you track down OD&D? Did you get maybe the print on demand or the PDFs from drive-through, or what was that like for you?
Yeah. So we started with the PDFs from drive-through, and what we did is we just ran with those. I mean, we've also our TTRPG journey kind of went all over the place with trying out different systems. And, since the beginning, I mean, we're also board gamers. So for us, it's like, well, yeah, we'll try this out. If it doesn't work, we won't keep it, kind of thing. So we've played stuff like the Old School Essentials books and those games that say that they're like a modern retelling of the old school stuff. But I just, once we got to OD&D, it was like, I like this layout. I like the way it's written. Some things don't line up. Some things don't make sense, but that's part of the fun, as we sit there and we morph it at the table. And we did find some other games along the way that we really liked. Like we played Hyperoreia, and we did like, I do like first edition AD&D. But when we're playing at the table, I'm like, well, I want to have all these weird things and radioactive zombie velociraptors and flintlock rifles and stuff. So it was much easier to morph original D&D than to take something like AD&D and change things. And even now we play all kinds of different systems. So in our world, we say it's portals. So anytime we want to play a new system, their characters might walk through a portal and wind up on Tecumel, and then we'll be playing Empire of the Petal Throne.
Wow.
Or they can take a spaceship and fly to Hyperoreia floating around Saturn in our solar system.
That is awesome. Yeah. I gotta, do you talk to Jeff over in social media?
Jeff,
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I've messaged him a couple times, just letting him know he made an awesome game. And I sent him over a copy of the B&B box set and stuff. Cause kind of a thank you. Cause Hyperoreia was one of the first steps back we took. So, which is kind of a weird one, because we, instead of just going back through the editions, we were like, oh, this looks really cool. It's got a dude that looks like Conan on the cover, so let's go with it.
Right.
And from there it got stranger and stranger and more systems. So
well, that is a fine path to take. Jeff's a swell guy. Hyperoreia is a great game. We actually had Jeff on last week. He's a absolute pip. And Hyperoreia is an awesome system, and I'm glad you took that path. Now, I know, but in case anybody out there, over in audience land doesn't know, and AD&D was too, but OD&D was fairly loosey goosey. I mean, they talk about androids. Supplement 2 Blackmore is just straight up a crashed spaceship.
Yep.
The quote unquote Temple of the Frog. I think somewhere in that dungeon, I'd have to dig my copy out. There's a tech weapon, but not exactly described as such. There's a lot of there's a lot of just weird sciencey planet romance stuff that does pop up in OD&D. So I mean, like, this is something that you just fully embraced. You just said, we're gonna wear that weirdness, and it does have I think if people are willing to take a half a step back from the Fafhrd and Great Mouser feel of first edition AD&D, it's there too. I mean, you've got the Dungeon Master's Guide with the Boot Hill crossover and the Gamma World crossover, Expedition of the Barrier Peaks. There's a couple little tech things that pop up. There's basically a stun stick in C2 or C1, which a Hidden Shrine of Tamokon. But to read the description, it's a rubber handle attached to a silver rod.
Stun baton.
It's a stun baton. And I've always thought that something like that, it wound up there because somebody with a tech device came through Greyhawk, So you've jumped into this fully with Barrows and Borderlands. Do you, with something like that, do you have like a baked in campaign world with Barrows and Borderlands? Just tell us all about it. Give us the 411.
Yeah, so I do have a campaign setting that's referenced throughout the books, but I talk because I know a lot of people are going to take this home and use it bits and pieces, mix it into whatever they've got, and hack it to pieces too, which is what I like. But and I talk more about the campaign world in the Radioactive Boogaloo PDF, which is free supplement on the website. But I mean, the world is sort of a kitchen sink. If I had another setting that felt most similar to, it'd be something like Arduin. And most of the stuff in our games, like you were talking about with the Blackmore supplement, we go full into the science fantasy part of it, like Clark Ashton Smith and Lovecraft, and those sort of inspirations were pretty heavy when I was writing this stuff. And it's what our group really likes. We'll have sessions where we come across a crashed alien spaceship, and then the next session they're sword fighting on a castle. So, and you go back even further to pre D&D and Arneson's just Blackmore setting itself. Right, it had ray guns in it, and I think it was Bill Hoyt was telling me about one of the war games they were running, and they had big war elephants or whatever, and Arneson had thrown one of the soldiers on the battlefield with a ray gun, and a couple of the players got all angry and left because they're like, that doesn't belong in this thing. And but
I have heard variations on that it was a ray gun, and some are just like it was straight up a Star Trek phaser. But I mean, same thing, right?
Right.
But yeah, I have heard I had heard that story, but not that it infuriated players who were just like, no chocolate in my peanut butter, thank you very much.
Right.
But that is I hate, I don't like this term, particularly in reference to OD&D and first edition AD&D. But when you started introducing tech items, did you find that did you even, let me not even talk about it as being a problem, did you even consider balance at all, or were you like, that's cool, that's going in?
That's cool, that's going in was the main mindset. So
excellent.
I've had players find ray gun that causes instant death, and it's like, well, you're just as easy to die as everything else, but cool, you got a ray gun.
Yeah,
if they have it, I can use it on them too. So
yeah, exactly. And that just as kind of a side story, because I do get asked if from time to time the audience will be hey Bill, do you use the good hits and bad misses in the Dungeon Master Guide? No, I don't use crits in AD&D, because if you can do it with the monsters, I can do it to you, and I guarantee you're gonna hate it every time I roll a 20, because it happens exactly precisely as often as the players roll a 20. So yeah, if the party can acquire a Gamma World Black ray gun, then the bad guys can get one too. So
yeah,
be careful what you wish for.
And we've used that before. I mean, our current, so I run an open table of Barrows and Borderlands. Half of it's online and half of it's in person at local game store, and we get between 10 to 20 people that show up every month. And yeah, I mean, I think right now we haven't gone a session in 8 months without 1 to 4 characters dying. So it just happens. It happens a lot.
So this is not this is not romantasy, get attached to my character, I'm going to level them from 1st to 30 and build a domain level play. This is,
you're not gonna, well, you're never gonna stop them from getting attached to them, but yeah, they still die just as easily. But what we've got is we do have a couple higher level characters that have survived, and they are in the domain play right now. But if I count all the online people and the people that come to the open table, we've got about 40 players, and each of them has like 6 to 10 characters. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. They run the entire like merchant guilds and thieves guilds and slayers guilds. They run all those things in my world. You, my friend, you are out there. You have the Gygaxian ideal. I mean, honestly, just move to Lake Geneva right now, because you have absolutely, I mean, 40 people floating table with 6 to 8 characters a piece, domain level play. You've got it going on. You have fully embraced the traditions of RPG as war game instead of RPG as high theater. And I gotta say, I doff my wizard's hat to you, my friend. That is some that is a level of play that I mean, most people, like, I tell people I've got 11 people in my first edition AD&D game that I run on Monday nights, and their eyes bug out of their heads. That we'd need to administer oxygen and have one of those defib machines standing by if you told them about this. But I got to ask you the $64 question. Mm-hmm.
Do you do one-to-one time?
I do one-to-one time.
Okay.
I've chatted with
now define one-to-one time. I gotta ask, define one-to-one time as you play it, because it's not just do you do one-to-one time anymore these days. It's like, well, what do you mean do you mean I track every second in real time as in the game? Or so tell us your lens on one-to-one time.
Yeah, so I do week for week, and I have a calendar that I track the real days to the in-game days, and players it's just always on. So when we're not playing the session, it is like one day is one day or 1 week is 1 week. Sometimes I'll let them send in orders for their characters, as long as it's within that week time frame. And then in the game, I will let them play out as per normal. So if we use the outdoor survival board for our campaign map.
Okay.
And, they move on there as per normal. And then I count up how many days they moved, and their characters are time locked until they get back to the table, or until that time catches up. So, but they've got so many characters that never really is a problem for them to get time locked. They're just like, okay, well, I won't play that guy for a week, and then I'll play this other guy.
Okay.
And I've told people before, it's like, yeah, it might not be the end all be all way to play, but with 40 people at my table, it certainly helps.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's easy to track. I mean, they've got stuff like Fantasy Calendar nowadays, and you put in your world calendar and it'll just update every day automatically.
Okay. So if for whatever reason a session's got to come to an end, and the party's just in the middle of the dungeon, and you're not going to get back to it for a few days, do you do you do flex time at that point, where it's like, yeah, guys, the game's paused, you're not going to get eaten by monsters, you're not just all sitting in the middle of the dungeon corner for a week? I mean, that is like the biggest disconnect for me. That a lot of times there's, no, we never do that. We manage our time better. They know they shouldn't be down there if that's going to happen. And I'm like,
you can't expect the impossible. I mean, or unexpected things to happen. So what we do is, I'll look at them at, like, let's say, okay, we lost track of time. Y'all are 3 levels deep. And I will say, I've got a table that I use. All right, y'all can either sleep in the dungeon until we play next month, or you guys shoot me an order tomorrow that your characters are leaving the dungeon. Otherwise, you can roll on this table and we'll see if you made it out unscathed, or if you're going to drop some of that treasure running out quickly. And that's the way I do it. So it's just it's either, sure, you can stay in, and maybe tomorrow you can shoot a text saying, hey, we're trying to leave the dungeon, and I'll make those same rolls, or you can just make a roll now and see if you left.
When I years ago, I experimented maybe 20 years ago with one-to-one time in an OD&D campaign I was running, and the party saw what I was doing. They basically took over. I was brewing up my own home Castle Greyhawk. They basically just took over a corner of Castle Greyhawk, just one of the dungeon levels, one of the low dungeon levels, and are like, oh, okay, well, we march back here. We know there's no traps. We know there's no wandering monsters over there, because we just go back to our apartments and we'll rest there for a week. See you next week, So they fixed my little red wagon when it came to, ooh, what are you going to do for a week? We go back to our condominium that we built in your dungeon.
Inside the dungeon. Yeah, I mean, if my players did something cool like that, I think I'd probably let it happen. Depends. Might make some rolls, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we also have, including myself, we have 4 referees in the campaign.
Okay.
So that helps also, because if I'm not available, one of them can run the game, or we'll have multiple games running online. And like since the game's always on, some people are playing the game with the solo rules that I have in Radioactive Boogaloo, and they're just sending in their log. We kind of have a trust-based system, since how are you going to know what somebody's rolled on their own?
Exactly. And I one-shotted the warbot. It just happened again.
Exactly. I found the portal to Tecumel, and I just picked up a bunch of eyes and brought them back, and now I'm really good off. But I mean, it's trust-based system with the solo play. But I think we just had some logs turned in last night that still have to read through. But
so your level of DMing, refereeing, is, I mean, this is almost, and I don't mean this in a negative way, and I'm not denigrating at all. This is work. This is capital W. This is, you are putting in you're putting in the hours. I mean, when they talk about what a 3-to-1 prep, you're living that life. Do you find that's easy to manage? Oh, and Ultra American, thank you very much for the super. My current B&B character summed the game up perfectly, in my opinion. Green Skull fighting man with int 4 and a time wizard Alex Jones.
Yeah, I've DM'd both of those characters at the table, and he's not lying. So
I tried to warn you. I tried to tell you, Ultimate American TTRPG here. The UN doesn't want you to know.
Well, you know, I don't see it as too much. I mean, okay, so there was a lot of prep whenever I was making parts of the world, and I mean, it really started from the starting location in our campaign world was the Keep on the Borderlands. Mm-hmm. And then we just built out from there, and that's where it came from. But I don't do as much prep before a game. I mainly just take notes while we play, and then I scan the notes in to a big log I have. And otherwise, like, the calendar updates itself, and then any of the online notes we have over Discord, so I can copy paste them and just add them to that big notes log, and then I can just flip through it if I need to. Before every session, I have all the people that are playing just send me their characters and their stats, and that just goes at the top of the log. Actually, the note sheet that's on my website too is the same one that I print out and take notes with every session. But that's the only work I try to do. Every month for their big open table game, where that's the only scheduled session. Otherwise, the players are messaging me saying, hey, we want to go out to this place. But even with this scheduled session, the folks that show up regularly will shoot me a text and say, hey, we're planning on going to this dungeon or so-and-so place next month when we get in. So as far as prep, I managed to keep it down quite a bit. Half the sessions I just show up with nothing on my table except an empty piece of paper.
Right on. So riddle me this. Now, I am very much a guy when it comes to my refereeing, that I dig on whatever level of engagement. I mean, as far as leaning into character, obviously you want everybody engaged, right? You know, somebody sitting there just scrolling on their phone. What is it? What do I roll? You know, it's like, nothing. I'm just telling you, there's an open door. You know, but do you have a subset of your players, and you have enough players that I think, you know, you've got a small medieval village of people playing in your games
from ages 14 to 65.
There you go. So you've got this group. Do you find that there are people who want to lean into the role play, not necessarily super thespy, like, no, I want to date the barmaid, I want you to play out what she's doing? But I mean, do you find that there is divide between the dude who's just kind of sitting back and says, my guy goes over there and he says whatever he needs to say to the gate guard to get past, versus somebody else who might be a little more invested in the playing a role to you, the game master? Do you find that there is a schism at the table where you have to serve both things? Is it more people the former than the latter, or more the latter than the former? How does that work out for you?
Yeah, so we have a pretty, I'd say, even mix between the folks that really like to, like, they'll do voices or something for their character, and then we've got tons of guys at the table that are just like you said, I moved there, we're gonna go in this dungeon. They're playing it just for the mechanics,
right?
And you know, they seem to do quite fine at the table together. Usually everybody's a good sport. I kind of start every session off with like, hey, look, you know, nobody here is a hero, nobody here is the main character, so don't take up all the spotlight, but those of you that do like to role play or act as your character, maybe some of you that don't necessarily like it, you know, share the time, you know. And otherwise, you know, if my players looked at me and said, hey, we're going to spend the entire session in the marketplace looking at stuff, I might just be stuck at the marketplace while they look at stuff. I kind of just let them run the session. I've actually told them before, I was like, honestly, half of this you guys can run and just call on me if you need me to adjudicate something. Because we do run some of our sessions a bit like war games as well. I'll have the brown paper out on the table. If they're not doing wilderness exploration, we'll draw out town map really poorly with markers, and then the surrounding terrain. And so you might have some groupings of characters going, and they're fighting orcs that were thrown out on the map on one side, and then you've got the other guys that are still in the city doing some other thing. And I'll just kind of be walking around the whole time while they're doing their thing. And that kind of happens mainly because of how many people are at the table. And we also run some sessions more like a Stein, like a Brownstein style game. We just had one recently where we had a wizard council. One of the characters got arrested for some treasonous act by the Wizard King. And I normally don't like to roll stuff outside the session because I could have just DM fiated, came up with how the trial went. But I messaged all of them. I said, here, you play this guy, you play this guy, and you'll just do this like a Stein and adjudicate it yourselves. And that went quite well. A lot of people had fun with it. I
can imagine. I mean, that's almost like you're pumping the brakes to kind of sideways insert a quick session of diplomacy. Into you know, like hey, we're playing OD&D guys, but let's do some dippy here just to resolve this. And I feel that, man. That is really
we
cool.
Actually use a lot of board games, card games, and other games to adjudicate stuff and have stuff happen. So we like to call our campaign the game of games, because like if people show up early, I might whip out, I've got 3 copies of the dungeon board game, and we'll throw those out on the table, and I'll say, all right, if you want, you can say one of these pieces is your character, and if you survive with the treasure, then you get it in the campaign. But if you die in the board game, you die in the game. So, and we've done that before. We've used Cosmic Encounters to do like alien warfare up in space. That was Harmony Ginger showed me that game. I had not played it before.
The second you said Cosmic Encounters, I was like, I bet Harmony had something to do with that.
we were at DaveCon, and she's like, you're playing this board game with me. I'm like, okay. So
you redheads all stick together. So
right.
That's how that works. But no, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying like Cutthroats and Thieves. We'll use Mastermind sometimes to do like big dungeon doors, and all the players will pick out the color for the Mastermind board game. But that's mainly because it's all an excuse just to play different games and have fun at the table.
That is I tell you, and I mean this in a very positive way, don't misunderstand me. That's like drinking from a fire hose, listening to you talk about this. That is I'm loving everything that I'm hearing about this. Because you've got everything from domain level play down to you're breaking out dungeon and throwing out the dungeon board. Now you've obviously you get out to cons. So have you had a chance to play on Paul Stormberg's fully realized 3D dungeon board?
I have not, but I have seen I've seen pictures of it. He wasn't at DaveCon this past time, and I did get to play with Dave McGeary on Play Dungeon with him. But no, I've seen pictures of that 3D board, and it looks really cool. I'd have trouble lugging it around though.
It's a beast. It's a beast. You think, oh well, it's made out of polystyrene. Yeah, no, I picked it up and helped Paul move it a little bit. That is. But I got to play with him at EggCon in that, and I took the rather daring strategy of I'm just going to bolt straight for the 6th level. I'm just heading down there because I can get 2 things and win. I just forgot that elves can't really. There's things down there. There's just a dash. It's like you can't beat a black pudding with your elf bill. Sorry, that just doesn't happen.
Well, I have a document that converts all of the character classes from our campaign into the dungeon board game characters, and like how Gary had some extra ones like the cleric and the hobbit in Dragon Magazine, and Strategic Review. So we've used some of those. I mean, we'll go as far as like, okay, let's say your characters have stumbled on a thermonuclear warhead in the campaign, and they're like, okay, well, can we disarm it? It says it's going off or something, whatever. It's a timed bomb. I might pull out Jenga blocks, set up a tower, and say, all right, you guys have to remove 10 blocks or the bomb goes off if it falls. But if you get 10 blocks out, you've disarmed it, and we'll do stuff like that.
Man, that sounds like just an absolute blast. So I guess that dovetails nicely then into the next question. How has it been received critically? And I know as a creator, not at your level, but as a creator, sitting down and baring one's teeth and getting right in the face with criticism, it can be a little tough. But when you sit down and you look at feedback, not necessarily from your group or people you gamed with at a con or something like that, but like a person 2,000 miles away bought this and posted on Drive Through RPG or wherever a review of it. How has the feedback been?
It's been pretty good. I mean, when I was first making it, I honestly didn't think I was going to make any more than 30 boxes for the local game store over here. So because originally I was like, hey, I'm not going to publish this, guys. This is just for our group. And that was how it was for a long time. And then eventually they were like, hey, you should probably type this up and publish it. And so I told them, I was like, do I want to? Because that's a lot of work. That's going to be a lot of writing. I've got to make it look good, because I'm not gonna sell anything that looks bad or doesn't feel like you brought up that it has the wood grain box, because I wanted when people got it for it to feel like opening that first one. So I used like the same kind of paper, just a white textured paper instead. I upgraded the inner paper a little bit, so maybe it lasts a little longer. And the staples and stuff, little minor upgrades, but otherwise,
right.
I wanted it to feel like the original. So far, I mean, the reviews of the game have been good. The only major critical review I got was from my buddy Mark, and he's my buddy now because as soon as he wrote this scathing review on Dragonfoot, and then I messaged him and
Dragon's Foot.
oh yeah. But I started to answer it and I was like, oh, this is too much to type. And I was on the road. So I went, here's my phone. Just call me real quick. And so we talked about it for 3 hours. And by the end, he's changed his mind. I think he likes the game now. He plays with us occasionally. But yeah, no, I mean, so far, like I said, it's been good. It is definitely like, there's been a couple people that are like, oh, why'd you remake OD&D? And it's like, well, it's my house rules. But yeah, it's got OD&D at its core. And normally, I don't think the world needs a million retro clones, but that's also why I wasn't going to make anything that didn't have a full world to play in. Because that's one of my biggest things with games nowadays is if we're going to use a whole nother system, it's because there's almost a world baked into it, like with Hyperoreia, or you go all the way back to Empire of the Petal Throne. It was sort of baked into what you played it with. And those kind of games excite me. I kind of see that as like the third wave OSR kind of game.
Yeah, and that you touched on something that I think is I think there are some standouts once you get past Swords and Wizardry and Osric, and that's boilerplate. I got to say that because I love the people who created him to pieces. But Hyperborea, what you're doing, but I think there was a point of dilution where it was just like, why do I keep buying OD&D over and over again? You know, why do, or more to the point, because I wasn't, why do people keep selling OD&D over and over and over again? And I think about, you know, I think about the dilution, for lack of a better term, of original D&D and a first edition AD&D, because there's certainly been more than a few stabs at that. But in that field, to make something that really shines, that is really next level, is quite the accomplishment. And this is what you're doing with B&B. I'm just going to call it B&B. We're not talking bed and breakfast, folks. Don't ask him about
or Bunnies and Burrows.
or Bunnies and Burrows. Yeah, no. Hey, were you traumatized by the Watership Down cartoon? Now play an RPG every Saturday when you could be playing Dungeons and Dragons. But,
when I bring up Bunnies and Burrows, that's what I do. As I say, hey, you ever wanted to actually be in the world of Watership Down and that horrifying madness? Let's play that.
Yeah. And the answer from my Monday group, whenever I jokingly bring it up, is a resounding no. No Bunnies and Burrows. I'd rather try and teach them all hero system in a single night than play Bunnies and Burrows. But yeah, you've really brought something unique to the table. Now I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, and if this is not something that you have got to hand, don't worry about it. We'll get an image up here. Do you have one of the box sets you can show off real quick on camera?
Yeah. Here,
you just happen to.
And I've got this for the hardbacks that are on drive-through.
That is gorgeous. So yeah, look at that, guys. Is that not gorgeous? Is that not simply amazing? I love the wood grain. Now, and the fact that you've got the spine, the side sticker there is just, it's so nice.
And my little sister actually drew the little wizard on there, Azeran.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Except Azeran just died in the campaign, so.
Oh.
And you know, the book's on the inside. So every set comes with the 4 booklets.
Okay.
And a set of character sheets and some dice.
Okay. Parker Green says Azeran will live again.
Yeah, they're trying to resurrect him with necromancy. We'll see if that works.
If nothing else, you can bring him back as a convenient pack animal and just use animate dead.
Exactly. Or, you know, just upload his brain to a robot. You can do that in Barrows and Borderlands.
There you go. There you go. Azeran the robot wizard. You guys can have that one for free. Next question about the box set. That's not like a limited thing where, hey, I've got 10 left and you got to get them now. That's just how you can get it, right?
Yeah, that's just how you can get it. I do printing cycles. So like once I reach a certain point, I'll order more of just the boxes because obviously things aren't cheap, but and I got to order them in bulk. So we're on technically the second printing. The first printing was pretty limited because I made every single one of them by hand. So all the cardboard boxes, I was cutting cardboard and wrapping it with wood grain textured paper and you know, gluing the sticker or gluing the paper on the front. I did that for about 40 boxes, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna order these because, like I said, I thought I was only gonna make 30 of them. And so we're on the second printing right now. I've got a little bit left of those, and then it'll just be, if anybody misses that, it'll just be like a month or so I can get new ones in.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I don't plan on doing it as like secret limited thing or whatever, because I like the idea of more people getting a chance to play it.
No FOMO, and I appreciate that. I think too much of the business, of the hobby business, the hobby industry, particularly down on our end these days, is driven by FOMO. And look, I get it. You know, you want people to jump on something, you want to have a window so you're not forever beholden to it. But at the same time, the idea of you know, oh, I'm never doing this again. And you know, if you're a guy like me and it's like, I can next month. Oh, it's gone.
Yep.
Well, maybe I can pick it up on eBay. It's $380.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid stuff like that. I mean,
and I really appreciate that from a guy who likes to buy and play things. I really appreciate that.
Well, you know, so the game is available in a few stores across America. I've got obviously the Green Dragon here with me in Charleston, and then Toys, Hobbies, and Games over in Kansas has some copies of it. I think I just sent them some more. But the only thing I asked was that they didn't sell it for. I gave them a pretty good margin, but I was like, I would rather it not sell for anything more than $59.99, because usually when I buy games, that's like my. I don't like paying any more than that when I buy stuff. So why would I make other people?
Okay. Well, that dovetails nicely because we did have a question from the outfield there. Vinny asked, "What is the price?" So what's the retail price? I want to grab a copy. What's it going to run me?
Yeah. So if you want the fancy box set and with dice and character sheets and stuff, it's $59.99. And then you just get the shipping. I think it's $11 flat rate shipping. It goes up and down depending on what the best shipping costs I can get are.
Sure.
And then I've got just the booklets themselves. And I think, I've got that for that's $40. So just the booklets. The biggest cost of printing these things is actually the inner paper, because I wanted it to be, I didn't want it to fall apart.
Right.
And then you can get the digitals for like $30 on drive-through and on my website, barrowsandborderlands.com. And then I've also got 2 free books out there on both the website and on drive-through that are the Radioactive Boogaloo. So those add a bunch of crazy things to the game, some hex locations and stuff like that. And those will always be PDF is free. I do plan on eventually printing them, but they're not going to be expensive at all. Mainly just to cover the cost of the paper. But those are the more wild ideas that some of which are playtest and some are stuff that I just didn't feel like needed to be in the core game, like alternative rulings on certain things, stuff like that, solo rules, that kind of thing.
Okay. There was, I was about to ask you here. This is an important question, Matthew. I need to know, and I have a feeling I know what you're going to say. 1 to 20, or 0 to 9 red, 0 to 9 black?
0 to 9 red and 0 to 9 black. I have,
of course,
I've got a game science dice right here. Now, the ones that come in the box set are 1 through 20, and that's because it's almost impossible to get your hands on the 0 through 9. I tried my best. Right. If I can get them, I'll start doing those. But yeah, I use game science dice at my own table for when we run the game.
Now, there is a fellow, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about because I'm blanking on him now. But he's got a page on Facebook. He has recreated all of the TSR dice. Like the little tiny crumbly ones you got with your basic sets after Holmes and so on.
Threshold.
Thank you. Threshold Dice Works. And I did get one of his sets with a 0 to 9, 0 to 9. So I mean, maybe that could be an avenue. Just saying.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. I if my players are watching, I want those for Christmas. But yeah, I like his dice. They look really good. And there's a few companies out there that still do them. It's funny enough is if you really want, they've also got school supply stores. They still sell some of them, but they're always in like,
Really?
yeah, they do. The only thing is the colors they pick for them are just kind of atrocious, but
Oh,
it is what it is.
yeah.
You know, they got like puke green and some off navy blue, but you know, you can get them.
Well, hey, nobody will steal your dice then.
That
At
is
least
true.
that's one would hope. One would hope. Yes, Vinny math dice. I was at what was it? I was at the drugstore, and my eye was attracted by something. They had the little they had some of these, the little Jack's Arcade mini arcade machines down their toy aisle, and that caught my eye, and I walked down there, and they had a boxed set of polyhedrons of
Really?
TTRPG dice, but they were like math game dice. They were oversized. I don't think there was a D4, but there was definitely a D8, a D12, and a D20 in there. But there were some kind of math game dice. So you can find TTRPG supplies in the strangest places, folks. Parker Green says, we stand the puke green dice.
We stand the puke green dice, yeah. And Parker's one of our original players too. He was one of the first
excellent.
Yeah.
Welcome, Parker. Subscribe to the channel if you would, please, if you haven't already.
He's been stuck at my table for 11 years.
Don't forget, you're here forever. But I hate to ask. I always hate to ask this question because it's like I feel like, particularly with someone who's created something as cool as this, it's like I'm not saying like, well, this isn't enough, but what's next? What is next?
Don't worry, I'm not going to oversaturate the game with a bunch of add-on rules and everything. I actually talked to some of the players, and I was like, yeah, I don't really plan on making like a fully paid product unless it can kind of hold itself as its own little game. So I've been working on this one for a little while, but it's a like a spaceship skirmisher game, fairly simple one. But in that same little booklet, I mentioned how to use certain mechanics in Barrows and Borderlands if your characters find a spaceship and want to go fly around. And then otherwise, we've got stuff like the map we use. I've got my sister doing some cool art stuff and making it look cool and seeing if we can get that printed out. And then we've got brain power. Yeah, otherwise it's the radioactive boogaloos. You know, I plan on making them fairly cheap, and mainly because they are like add-ons to the game, and that's one thing that kind of bother, like with second edition, there's just too much out there, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that was sort of the oversaturation I didn't like. But yeah, I mean, if something really cool shows up, of course I'll write it down. I'm not gonna hide it. but you know.
Right. Any thoughts
modules.
To adventure modules,
Yeah.
Right? Any thoughts to like a quarterly, like the strategic review, but for B&B?
Yeah, so I mean, we've talked about it a little bit. Some of our players are writers as well, and we write a couple like pulpy stories every once in a while, and we were like, that'd be kind of cool to do some blogs online, maybe post those. And like you brought up strategic review, that's kind of how the radioactive boogaloos are listed out. I've got a pre-copy of it here, but we've got, it's just random rulings and also like new classes and races and fun little things for your game. And then the adventure modules will be really fun though. I've got two of my players are writing their own, and they just wanted me to help them, lay it out and print it and everything. But they sound really fun. I'm not going to spoil them yet, but and then my next adventure module that I'm currently writing is Dracula in Space.
All
So
right.
I'm looking forward to that one.
That's awesome. I mean, Dracula in space. I just, man, it is so refreshing to hear about, you know, this level of gonzo in your games. And one of the things that stuck me, and I'm not going to name names. I try and maintain positivity all the time. I'm not dragging anybody down, and what works for them and for people who like it, I'm happy for it. But I feel like there's a tendency out there in the OSR for people to try and out gonzo, but it comes across a little false.
Yeah.
If you feel me, like a little bit like, whoa, hey, oh, we got robots and this guy's a rhinoceros man. Woo, we're so wacky, you know, just like they were back in the 1970s. And it's got a very plastic 50s diner feel to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's because that's sort of the moniker that gonzo gets nowadays. I like the term weird a bit more, but that's one of the things is you can do the weird and the wacky. But what I usually tell my players, especially the ones that are referees and they're getting ready to like write up a session, and they might come up with some idea, and I'm like, it's you're teetering the line of when you go into farce, you know, where it's no longer, hey, you know, the world takes itself seriously. I may have just thrown a radioactive zombie T-Rex at you, but to the people living in the world, that's a horrifying monster that came out of the dead wastes, and they take that very seriously. Or, you know, if we have, like, we don't put anything in the game that is wacky just for the sake of being wacky. It's always because, you know, the radiation has mutated this monster to this point, or, you know, we've got weird psychic aliens have come down, but we see it more as like kitchen sink, cool, weird stuff rather than wacky gonzo farce.
Right. And again, I feel like, well, I said I wasn't going to name names, and here I'm about to do it, but like that was a big turnoff for back in the early 2000s. I mean, literally like 2001 for Hackmaster with me. It's like, okay, I get, and you know, Gary stepped into humor. You know, Gary was the one that said, hey, if a character finds the Heward's mystical organ, drag him over to the piano and make him play Fly Me to the Moon, or that old black magic if you've got a piano in your house. You know, there was a degree of fun to that, but there's a point at which it stops being fun and it becomes the performance of fun things, which is very different from having fun. You know,
it's wacky for the sake of wacky rather than this is the universe we've set up and we're playing by those rules. And of course, if there was no comedy, everybody would be sitting there like dry the entire game. Nobody's laughing, and that's no fun. But I like to say there's like a balance of it, at least at our table. I'm sure somebody could take Barrows and Borderlands and run the wackiest thing ever if they wanted to, if they like that kind of game. But you know, normally we'll have bits of fun in there. They'll get a little chuckle about there being a zombie dinosaur, but then the zombie dinosaur kills 3 of the player characters, and they stop thinking it's funny anymore. So, and you know, like another setting that did something like this back in the 70s was the Arduin setting. It's funny because I actually didn't stumble on Arduin until later, like 4 months ago.
Right.
And the whole idea of that setting is you've got like Sarigs where these lizard men are running around, and you might find laser weapons, but there's also this weird high powered magic, and you know, it's sort of like the first multiverse in a fantasy setting. But you know, I really like that kind of stuff because that's also another one that doesn't go into the gonzo territory. I think Daddy Rolled a One called it heavy metal, and that's probably a good inspiration for Barrows and Borderlands too, like the heavy metal movie. So
yeah, I mean, there's ironically funny stuff that happens in heavy metal. You know, like the trial of Hannah of Captain Stern, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, this is very funny, and Stern flushes hand over fist out an airlock.
Yep.
You know, and then the Lochnar, which is in Stern's pocket, lands in a B-17, and we know how that goes.
Yep.
So you know, it's very you know, it's very much not a comedy movie.
Yeah. And I do a couple things to try and help reinforce that. I mean, it really helps when all of your players have a sort of shared vision of what you're all going for. So, for example, at my table, I give out extra XP if people go back and they read the Weird Tales magazines, or if they do go and we'll have like movie nights and stuff, and we'll watch like Krull, or I think of which one we just watched recently. It was some claymation arena fighting thing from Russia that was pretty fun.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll watch stuff like that with each other.
You know, another good one, and this, first of all, if you guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, but you almost certainly have. And second of all, it goes back into that there is comedy, but this is not funny, is Dark Star. You've seen Dark Star, right?
Dark Star? No, I haven't seen Dark Star.
Oh, you got to see it.
Yeah.
It's written by Alien author Dan O'Bannon. But it is, I'm not going to spoil a thing about it. It is a sci-fi movie that leans heavy into sarcastic farce, but it's not like a science fiction version of the movie Airplane, which is good on its own terms, right? But I do. You guys go watch Dark Star. I think you will write it down. You told me you had a tablet ready. Note that down. Watch Dark Star. I think you will. I think it will get an absolute kick out of Dark Star.
Well, players that are watching, that might be on our movie night tonight. So
there you go, Barker Green, next movie night. Yep, you guys got to watch. You guys got to watch Dark Star, and when you watch it with an eye. Keep the movie Alien in mind, and you're going to see some interesting parallels. It's not set in the Alien universe. It's not an Alien prequel or sidequel or anything like that. Just, I think there's a vibe you might pick up on that. But yeah, Dark Star is without a doubt a highly recommended movie that deals in that. Yeah, there's funny stuff happening, but there's serious stuff going on. You know, it's like,
yeah,
I liken it to this. You wouldn't just order a box full of hot cheese and pepperoni from a pizzeria, right? That goes on top. You get a pizza, and that stuff I know there's some weirdo in the audience is going to be like, I'd eat that breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yeah, get it out of your system. But that is to spice it up, and I like that approach. But I feel like you're definitely doing right, and you hit on something I think that is key for players to keep in mind is, yeah, something like a radioactive zombie T-Rex is hilarious to them. It's horrifying to some poor bum with 1 to 7 hit points.
Yeah. And I mean, the players we've got right now, we just had a radioactive zombie T-Rex that was rolled up as their random wilderness encounter, and yeah, they were quite terrified. They pursued them for like 6 more hexes before they ran into another giant monster, and then we had a little kaiju fight. But
it's yeah, and I'm get hexes. Are these 30-mile or 1-mile hexes?
We do 5-mile.
You do 5-mile
outdoor survival board, and you know, we have like the rest of the world map out there, but most of our adventuring is in the Borderlands region. So
right on. Now, do you guys do the what is it? A sinkhole equals a castle and a lake equals a dungeon, or I don't remember.
Yeah, I went through and I wound up just making my own version of the map. And we actually, here, I've got it right here. I'll grab it. But yeah, we went through and made our own. Maybe I have it. Well, I guess it's hidden for now, but it's also on the website for people to download for free. And you can see the one we threw together on there. But
Okay.
but yeah, so I mean, we threw one together. Some of it we kept. We're like, okay, well, this will be the castle now, and this will be so and so. But we've also got some weirdness on there. I also connected it to the ocean up top, so we could have some of those adventures. But yeah, we're kind of all over the place with it.
Yeah, I and you know, you say all over the place, and that is the best description so far, in a complimentary way. So I almost want to ask about advanced B&B. B&B, is that something you've given any thought to, or do you think you'll just stick with this line?
I can't talk about that one yet.
Oh, oh my! Did I almost accidentally look behind the curtain? Well, we're just gonna.
Who knows?
Just
Maybe I'm just messing with everybody.
You could just be yanking our chains. Oh, I know what I was gonna. I'm sorry, I had an old man blank moment there for a second. Artwork. Tell us about the artwork. Is it all your sister, or who have you got in on the art team?
So some of it was my sister. A lot of it was public domain, old school art. Like the cover of the Men and Mutants. That was I took like 3 or 4 different old public domain stuff. One of them is from some old War of the World stuff, and then photoshopped it together and messed with it a little. And then we just had a new cover. That's going to be on one of the hardbacks that was done by Castle Grief, who made the Cal Aerith system. I'm very happy with what he did there. I don't have a copy of it lying around here. Oh, yes, I do. Oh, that's another one. So he did that cover, but it's going to go the actual hardback print.
Oh, we're losing you in the losing you in the green screen.
Let me get rid of this background again. The actual hardback looks different than what I've got here. This is a proof, but
okay.
Yeah, he's got the Solomon Kaney type figure with a mace and a ray gun fighting a velociraptor while a UFO is behind him.
Nice.
But yeah, that's going to be on the Black Label edition on drive-through, and also I've got the Dynaco edition up, and so the 2 different covers. I also didn't want to do the whole, oh, you've got multiple covers of the same thing. So usually if you get one of them, you can get the other one for very, very cheap. You get like a massive discount on getting the other cover if you like one of them better, something like that.
Okay.
So not trying to hurt people's wallets, just cool art. But yeah, you know, I plan on, at least for like the radioactive boogaloo stuff, I've been in touch with a few other artists to try and get some cool pieces in the books. Because that was sort of a big thing for me. Like when I was making the official game, the reason most of it's public domain art is because I had, you know, a couple $100 in my bank account, and I'm like, okay, well, let's try and put this thing together. And you know, if I can, I try to get artists. My sister did a great job on some of the pieces, like Azeran on the cover, and she's been working, like I said, on the map, the wilderness map, colorizing it and making it look cool. So
right on. So sorry, it was just answering a measurement question there.
Yeah.
Some of my audience members use the communist measurement system, and then I just had to inform them of what freedom units equaled certain things. But anyway, so I was, oh, right. So production, because you and I have talked a little bit about this, and I've seen the close-up pictures, and everyone out there who doesn't already have a B&B set, and I hope you're getting a B&B set, the PDFs at the very least. By the way, I've linked to Matthew's stuff in the description below, so please go. Not at all. Thank you for being here. So go click, follow, read, do, buy. don't read Dubai. I don't know if there's any good libraries in Dubai, but probably, but they're made out of Ferraris. Anyway, you and I have talked about this, the production values on this stuff, because you wanted them to be more durable paper and so on and etc. That alone is almost an Arthurian quest to go out there. And I guess I want to start with the wood grain boxes, because I surely haven't seen those up close. But did you actually I feel almost silly asking this question. Did you get like the best guess, or did you find out exactly what pattern that was on the wood grain? And the next question is that pebbly cover on the actual books themselves.
Yeah, so I had sort of a multi-year search for trying to find the best thing, because it is an arm and a leg to get OD&D, and I had the PDFs and I wanted to run them at my table. So that was the original quest of figuring out how to do some of this stuff. And the wood grain on there, if it's the closest thing I could get to the first Gamma printing of the wood grain box set. So if you guys look up the wood grain box set, they've got like on what's that site called? The Arcanium or Arceum?
The Arceum, yeah.
The Arceum, there you go. You can find, they've got different printings on there, and they show you what they look like. I, of course, did not buy a wood grain set to check.
You didn't have $27,000
right
to spend on 60 pieces of paper. I don't understand.
I did convince my fiance to let me get the white box set with the promise that I would immediately resell it after I checked to make sure that the paper was correct, because that was important. So, and the paper that I've got on there is about as close as I could get. It's the same paperweight, parchment textured. And that was a big deal for me, because I was like, well, if it doesn't feel the same when you open the box and use it, then why even try to make it similar? And I went with the white paper to differentiate it from the tan parchment paper. But yeah, it was a bit of a Arthurian quest. I had my own little holy grail searching after the information. It was fun. Now I know, like, there's a few places to get stuff like that. Now the boxes I was lucky enough to get manufactured after that first printing, because I probably would have passed out had I had to make this many by hand. But yeah, the Gamma printing, the first Gamma printing is the closest to what I've got with the B&B boxes. Now I did change the label out on the front, because the original box set was copy paper glued to the front. And that's why you see all the copies of it that are around have like yellowed and degraded over time because of that glue.
Right. That organic glue is curdling, basically.
So I didn't want that to happen. So I went with label paper. So it should last longer, be a bit sturdier. And that was a big deal for me too. And I was a little inspired by bring up Talanian again, the Hyperoreia, because his leatherette sets were really high quality, and even the normal sets from Hyperoreia are really high quality. I was like, yeah, I don't want to really sell it unless I'm like, oh, this is awesome to have at the table, more than just like regular copy paper between a folded booklet kind of thing. Which it wound up costing a bit more, but it is what it is.
Right on. So talking about producing this, obviously, you're making an OSR game, albeit it's an incredibly fun one, and so on. You've been on this quest, as you say, for years. Cast your mind back to March of 2020. Well, no, not even then, January of 2023. Here comes Wizards of the Coast doing the rug pull on the OGL. Now, I'm a small creator of stuff. I've worked for medium-sized creators. Everyone I know has been touched by this, and suddenly, we're all singing Kumbaya in the back of the van, and the driver slams on the brakes and sends us all flying against the walls to a bunch of bruises and bumps. When that came along, did you feel like, well, shit, now I have to I have to seriously reconsider what I'm doing? Or were you just like, meh, full speed ahead, or somewhere in between?
I just kind of went with it. I mean, the entire time I was making the game, I did have a couple times where I was like, mainly because of the workload, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much. And, especially the parts where you're restating how to roll dice, and, but, my players and I both agreed. They were like, even if we don't sell any of these, we at least are going to play them here at our table. So we're going to go ahead and finish making it. So, now, whether or not I was going to order a bunch of boxes from the manufacturer and stuff like that and drain savings accounts to get it done is a different story. I mean, yeah, it definitely was a bit of a worry, but I was going to make it regardless. So.
Right on. So, I mean, it was going to get done. You just had the advantage of them finally backing off at least a little bit and saying, okay, well, okay, well, pinky promise we won't do that again. Now, did you, in light of that, in light of the rather lackluster non-tribute that Wizards of the Coast gave to the 50th anniversary of the creation of Dungeons and Dragons, how have you leaned into marketing? I mean, are you obviously you've been to Dave Con, and so on and etc. But what are you doing as far as getting the good word out there? Are you seeing a word of mouth growth alone? I'm sorry, this is kind of a badly formed business question, and I apologize for that.
You're good. So mostly right now I'll make posts and share it online. I have been making a few YouTube videos recently, very poorly made, so y'all should definitely go check them out and laugh at me using seeing me talk to myself at the camera. But we've been doing stuff like that, and of course the conventions. I'll be at Arnicon this October as well, and I'll be running a B&B table, and then I'll be at Arcane Con in November running another B&B table. And I've been able to, or go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you wouldn't be headed to Page, would you?
Page? No, but maybe I will.
Philadelphia Area Gamer Exposition.
Oh, maybe I'll have to check. When is that one happening?
That is January, and I very foolishly agreed to go to Page. I say foolishly because it's winter in Philadelphia, not because it's not good, just because I'm from Florida and I'm going to die. I'm going to be in the Northeast in January. I'm going to die. So
that might be it. That might be a cool one. I've got family up there, so
there you go.
Make it even easier. But I'm trying to get out and play it more, and I've had a lot of help getting things shared a bit. Griff Morgan, who did the Secrets of Blackmoor documentary, he was one of the first to share the game around. And now I bother him all the time with messages. And then folks like the IMCO guys have been sharing my stuff around a lot from Arduin, and that's been helping. I very rarely would get on social media before I'm like, okay, I guess I have to do something to talk about the game online. And now I feel like I'm on it all the time, but I guess that's how that happens.
Mhm.
But yeah, social media posts, posting on X and Reddit. Reddit was a fun one. Seeing the comments on there.
Yeah.
We had
How many times have you been canceled so far? Let me just ask you that.
none yet.
In
None
terms
yet.
of none yet. They'll get around to you. Take a number.
Well,
but I kid.
we had I think it was like a bot account that was up in arms because I had been on RPG Pundit's podcast.
Oh yes, I remember.
Yeah.
So regale us with this, because this is a fun one. So, if you want to,
I stay out of politics or pretty much anything that isn't gaming, but RPG Pundit liked Barrows and Borderlands. He wanted me to come on the show and talk about it. I was like, awesome, that sounds good. And we had a really good conversation, and then everything was great. And then I get one little blip on my Reddit where I guess they were talking about how horrible I was for speaking to him or something. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And I posted that on X, and I actually want to thank whoever made that bot, because I think it wound up getting me more sales because of people buying the game simply to spite the bot. So that was nice. But yeah, I haven't had to step into that puddle yet. I don't plan on it. My dad and my mom were always like, the three things you don't talk about are politics, religion, and sports. So I'll just talk about my math rocks and the gaming. But
right.
I mean, it's not going to stop me from going on and talking to somebody about the game.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how intense you are about your additions, I guess RPGs can fall under the religion category, or sports, whichever.
That's true.
Or
some
politics.
people get really serious about it. I mean, yeah, we play so many games at our table that I don't have any ground to stand on if I was to say something like, well, this game's way better than that game. It's like, well, we probably played them both. And we've had fun with I mean, we'll go as far as Call of Cthulhu, and we have played Pathfinder at some point. I didn't have as much fun with that game. It was a bit too much. But like, we'll play anything as long as it's not boring.
Well, there you go. Well, there's much to be said, and I think you've hit on that golden sort of gravity assist there for negative press. But I'm glad that you've been able to stay out of it. And honestly, anymore, I think that knee-jerk reaction has become so niche that it has no negative effect anymore. Yeah. I'll cancel you. Cool. I can expect 8 to 10 more sales. Thank you.
Well, the biggest thing for me is even amongst my players, I've told them, I was like, if I know what you're thinking about a political thing, we're probably not playing something right now, And of course, some of my players were longtime friends as well, so I do know what they think. But that's mainly because those are also the guys I go to the bar with, or we'll go see a sports game with. But yeah, I mean, it's I don't kick anybody out of my table. I really couldn't if I wanted to, because I run it as an open table at the game store.
Yeah.
So, and that's really my hope, is it's like, hey, for a few hours, you guys get to come here and we'll just play some games and have a good time. And we try our best too with like the Green Dragon down here. They're really accommodating for letting us take up 6 tables every week or every month and pushing them together in brown paper. I had to make them let me give them money for the tables, because they were like, oh, y'all are doing. I was like, no, we're gonna pay the room fee to get in here. And like with the players are all good sports about it. We don't get any snacks unless they're from the game store during the game and stuff like that.
That's proper, man. That is really decent. And I wish you were the standard and not the example. I mean, when you came on and you started talking about an OD&D level of play, that, and I mean, it's not, at least my take on it it's not performative. This is just how you
Mhm.
guys happen to play. It's not like,
Yeah.
hey, we're going to pretend like we're playing this OD&D Bronstein guy. No, you guys are in it for the long haul.
We
And
we actually did it so that I didn't have to work as hard at it, because I realized if I had them running parts of the world, I didn't have to write all that down. And if I had 1-to-1, I didn't have to do all this downtime math. I could just say, well, it's been a month because that's the last time we played the game.
mhm,
And then, like, I hear some folks nowadays, and I was just on Matt and Gary's, the Lord Matthias show last week, and we
mhm.
were talking about not a lot of game stores are like that anymore. But honestly, when was the last time? I guess this would be for the audience. When was the last time y'all went to the game store and said, "Hey, I'm gonna just run an open game"? That can be dangerous. You've got some folks that might come to your table, but at the same time, it's like the reason game stores aren't like that as much anymore is because people aren't running the games and supporting the game stores as much. Um,
Yeah,
and of course, like the card games, trading card games have become much bigger than than the tabletop role playing games have. Um,
true. Also
so
true.
they don't have as much of an incentive. But the Green Dragon here has been open since 1975. So
Yeah.
there's
Bob
like
was just
a
saying,
connection there. Like my dad went there when he was a kid. Yeah, there you go.
Bob Jester saying 40 years ago. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's awesome that you're not only doing these, you're reporting in FLGS. So many anymore you hear about, oh, I play D&D, and I got a bi-weekly game, and there's 5 of us. Oh, cool. Where do you play? Roll20. Which, let me just be 110% clear. If you're playing, good.
Yeah.
But I
We play some of
so
our games
much
online too.
Yeah, I so much love to hear it when it's we play at our local comic shop.
Yep.
We play at our local game store. That does my heart good because it's good for the businesses. Everybody talks about, oh, I don't have an FLGS and so on and etc. And then they'll flip around and say, oh, just pre-ordered XYZ supplement off Amazon. Going to meet my Roll20 group tonight.
Yeah, it's now I can definitely understand it if you're like middle of nowhere. It's hard to find a game store near you.
Sure.
In
Sure.
my hometown of Sherall, the closest game store was like an hour away. And they did open
Mhm.
one a bit closer for a little while, and then they closed because it flooded. And so there are certainly places where that's harder. But when I was a kid and we didn't have a game store nearby, I would run games at the library growing up. And when I was in high school, we played in the chemistry room after school. So
Mhm.
we found some ways to make it happen. And especially nowadays when you can just post stuff online, like, hey, we're having an open table event at so and so place. Now, I have told one of my players that if we get much more than 20 showing up, I might have him go get a different table and and run the other 20.
Right.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. You can make it happen if you really want to, and it's less notes is what I've noticed.
Well, that's cool. I've got to ask you, with an open table, with a floating table, 20 people, uh, any horror stories, and not necessarily like table flipping moments, but any like, oh my gosh, I don't believe that just happened kind of
Yeah.
moments.
There's this one guy,
I
Parker.
just love your
Yeah. There's this one guy, Parker Green. No, I'm just kidding. He's no. I mean, yeah, we've definitely had like arguments at the table and stuff, but luckily, at least recently, we've been pretty good with the players we've had show up, and we get all kinds. Like I said, our age range is like 14 to 65, but because of how many people, I do get kind of strict at the beginning of a session. I'm like, hey, some of y'all have never played before. We don't talk over each other because there's too many of you. I just will ignore everybody. And then, just sort of the be polite. We're all here to game, so let's give each other the chance to do that. And, you know, we do have, like, we've had people walk in that don't know anything about the game. Maybe they've never played a role-playing game because they showed up in the store to play Magic that day. I don't even bother telling them the rules of the game or giving them sometimes I'll give a pre-made character if they've played an RPG before, but sometimes I'll just be like, hey, look, what weapon do you have? You want a sword? Cool, sit down. You're in the game with a sword. We'll just go from there. And it seems to work out. So nothing too bad. But yeah, I mean, we've had arguments. We've been playing for 11 years. If we didn't have arguments, I wouldn't know what to do. It probably means we didn't talk.
Right, exactly. Things are going suspiciously too well here.
Exactly. I can just hit up my players every once in a while. I was like, hey, somebody argue with me. The game's been too fun recently, so we need something to.
Well, you know, I'll just DM you periodically on Twitter. Hey, you suck.
Yeah.
Your rule about X is garbage. You know, just keep you on your
that
toes.
thing you posted earlier. You're just wrong for whatever reason.
Yeah, it's so. You know, I'll do that. Like people, I don't like 99% of the garbage posts that I disagree with on Twitter. I'm just like, see less of this, see less of this. But every once in a while, one will just get under my skin, and I throw probably the worst insult I can throw at somebody. If I really tear into somebody, I probably actually like them. And there's like an undercurrent of dark humor. Like I will gig Harmony just every so often. I did a Soy Jack comic of her that I post up periodically just to razz her with. But yeah, if I just posted you in all lowercase, just stop posting.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you know that I'm just like, I'm fucking done with you. I don't want to hear from you anymore.
Yeah, Parker in the chat is usually the guy. We rage bait each other to try and make each other angry on purpose because it's a lot of fun. Another one of our players, John, does that too. And he's the best at it. He definitely knows how to make me angry, but then he'll laugh about it for an hour afterwards. But yeah, that's what having friends is all about. If you got along with everybody, then what's the fun in that? And you know, like, we have disagreements on how the game should be run, even amongst the referees. I had one player that was, I joined they were doing an online game. I joined the voice chat just to listen in on their game or whatever. And there was an argument over one of the rules or something like that. And he goes, well, I want to ask Matt because he made the game. So obviously he'll tell me what. And I went, dude, I'm not the referee. I don't know what rules you're using. So don't look at me, you know? That's usually where the arguments go, because they think because I made the thing that I'm gonna come up with the rules at the table. I think Gary even said in Alarms and Excursions that he preferred playing at Dave Arneson's table because he didn't know the rules. And he said, if all aspects of fantasy had been covered by a role-playing game, then the hobby will have become boring. So
Rob Kuntz will tell you straight up and I had witnessed this back because Gary used to post extensively on Dragon's Foot, and you can go back. He's got years of posts on Dragon's Foot to read through on things, and I really feel for him. I feel like Gary probably underwent the Robert Plant, but I did all these Zydeco albums moment, you know, where it's like, oh, tell me about the recording of Stairway to Heaven. All right. You know, it's you do know I've recorded 12 albums with Alison Krauss that like lengthwise just crush what I did with Zeppelin, right? All right. So anyway, Stairway to Heaven. And I feel like Gary kind of went through that too, because Gary was games designing until the day he died.
Yeah.
Gary was working on games design until the day he died. And Rob, I have heard Gary say that, or rather I have seen Gary spell this out in posts. I don't think he ever said this when I talked to him. He was a fairly congenial guy. But I have seen him type this out, and Rob has repeated this, that Gary's response is, I don't give a pinch of coon shit what you do at your table. I don't. It's up to you. You know, how much does Magic Armor weigh? Half? None? Whatever.
It's not up
You
to
know,
me.
so
We,
sort it out, sort it out
with
out to you.
our home referees, the only thing we've got is we'll chat on the side to make sure that somebody didn't pull in like hey, you didn't blow up the world your last session, so we don't have anywhere to play anymore, right? You know, that kind of thing. But especially for other people's tables, it's like, I really play the game how you want to play the game, because I am not an authority. I don't think anybody's an authority on fun, even though my players will sometimes call me the fun police. But you know, it is one of those, like, the way I see a lot of these systems, like even AD&D with Gary, is there's sort of an implied setting there, and we'll go out and we'll play other settings to get different mechanics played by them, you know, see how things meld in the world. Like, I probably wouldn't use AD&D for a Call of Cthulhu style game.
No, certainly not.
But you know, like, Barrows and Borderlands are, I think most people's tables are wildly different from each other, and that's just a symptom of the game, and I think it makes it more fun.
And you know, you're absolutely right. I tell people, like, I guess to you, I'm kind of a punter, right? I'm like, yeah, so what? You've got 11 people. That's nice, Pat. But no, you know, I'll tell people I've got 11. You know, I've got 11 players at my Monday night game. They're like, I've had reactions from, oh my God, are you some kind of DMing robot? You know, other people have said that sounds completely awful. That sounds like the opposite of fun. How can you game under conditions like that? And you know, people say, look, the ideal game is 3 to 5 people. Really, you don't want more than 5 people at your table. And I'm like, I will cancel my Monday night game if only 5 people show up.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Guys, there's not enough people to play tonight. We can't. We're playing G2. You know, we don't have, and I'm not running 6 other characters and the monster side. So
if I have 5 people show up to my table for the monthly game, I might look at them and ask if they want to do Traveler tonight. So
yeah, exactly. I've done stuff like that. The danger I find over the years, because this happened with this current, I think we're on year 11 now, campaign, started with a group that worked all their way up through A2, Secret of the Slaver's Stockade. We didn't have enough people show up one night, and I said, everybody make up characters, and I don't know, we'll play a starting module. And I grabbed, I think, I just grabbed the Dungeon Master's Guide, and we did the Fire Opal dungeon in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck with them.
Oh, there you go.
We never went back to A2. That was like 8 years ago. The campaign was going to start. We started in T1, went over to the A series, and then just because one night I said, oh, we'll do this. And then next week we'll jump back. And when people came into the next week, they're like, we want to play this.
Yeah.
We'll finish this. We'll finish the Fire Opal dungeon, and then we'll go back to the A series. And those adventurers are just sitting outside the Slaver's Stockade going.
Well, you know, like the way I see campaign too, because the way I see it, we've been playing the same campaign since we started, but we've been on like 6 different worlds and gone through 400 to 1,000 characters in that time, and probably way more than that. But and it's the same thing of like the portals to other worlds that we use in our home campaign. It's like the campaign is who I have at my table. You know, it's our group that we've been running. But no, we've definitely had some worlds that we've kind of abandoned over the years where we're like, we had one, it was Requiem of Iron is what we called it. It was all turn of the century steampunk stuff. And we were like, oh, this is cool. And then the moment I picked up the latest Hyperoreia books, and we were like, oh, let's go over to Hyperoreia. And I don't think we've been back to that world since then. You know, we've had that happen a few times with our table too. But now these guys here, that one of the fun bits about doing like the 1-to-1 time, which again is not for everybody. Anybody can do it, but not everybody wants to, because that's just not what they want to play, which is fine. But one of the benefits is there is sort of like we just kind of play whatever we want every time we run a game, because the players will just hit me up with where they want to go, what characters they're going to use. Sort of I think they called it a West Marchy style, but that's just kind of how the original style was.
Right.
So, we do stuff like that. So we never really get bored with a setting. That there have been some that we've abandoned though.
Sure. And I mean that's going to happen. But I mean, in a system as open as something as you built, that's also not a disaster. It's like, well, we were playing in X and we stopped gaming there, so I guess the world ended. But I just I am fascinated by this. Now, by my calendar, if you keep going, somewhere in the next 6 to 8 years, you'll be out in California producing a cartoon for your for B&B about a group of precocious teenagers who gets transported into the world of B&B.
Instead of the Borderlands, it'll actually just be a roller coaster, and
there you go. No. I say throw the D&D cartoon kids into your B&B game, see what happens.
Hey, that'd be funny. Oh man, I mean, we like I said, it's kitchen sink, so might as well. That might be teetering on that line of farce, though. But who knows?
Yeah. Well, I will say that what was it, a Toyota ad that they did down in Brazil 7 or 8 years ago? Up to that point was the best D&D movie that had been made, because down in South America, the D&D cartoon was huge. So Toyota did an ad for whatever car, and it featured all the D&D kids running from Tiamat, piling into the car, and the dungeon master was driving it. It was live action. They did a live action D&D cartoon Toyota ad, and it was incredibly well received down there. So, I remember who knows?
What were the gamers movies? Like Darkness Rising. Those are pretty good. I see those as pretty good D&D movies. They're making a new one actually, so that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, no, I mean, I think my favorite D&D movie would be like 13th Warrior or something. So, like,
right on.
The ones that aren't really D&D.
I would say probably my favorite D&D movie is that's kind of a tough call, but I would say, at least right now, my favorite D&D movie is probably 82 Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, that's a good one. Did you like Destroyer? The second one?
When I was a kid, I liked it a lot more when I was a kid than I do now.
It's gonna be blasphemy, but I actually liked it more.
You liked it more? Okay, no.
Yeah, I know. There was something about the special effects in that one that got me, but no, I mean, like I have trouble picking favorites. So, which is why we have a kitchen sink campaign, and why we have Solomon Kane riding a Velociraptor shooting a ray gun at Vampire Hunter D, because we just can't make up our mind. So
there you go. But I mean, when you're running that many people, that fits.
Yeah,
that absolutely fits that level of action. But I feel like regardless, it looks like an absolute banger of a system. I don't. We are coming up on nearly 2 hours here.
Oh wow!
Wow. Right. I feel like I could probably sit here all night, but I know you might have things that you'd like to do. You're over here on the right side of the country with me, so it's exactly the same hour for you as it is for me.
Yep.
Is there anything that I have not completely geeked out with you about that you would like to discuss? Any links, any projects, any stuff you would like to talk about that we have not touched on?
Yeah, let me think here. I mean, we talked about a lot of the big stuff that I do in my game, like the game of games and stuff like that. And I definitely think, you know, if y'all do like weird science, not to talk, you know, I have a biased opinion on this, but I do think Barrows and Borderlands wound up being pretty fun. The folks that have got it seem to like it a lot. But I recommend throwing a bunch of things together, playing a bunch of systems, and just having fun. I can't think of anything we haven't covered though, unless you want to come join our Discord and play a game with us at some point.
Well, I mean, are you opening the door to everyone? Because actually, this is a pack of lunatics.
We do have.
I'll warn you.
We do have an open Discord. So it's like discord.gg/Barrows and Borderlands with the A and D. So it's open for anybody to come join. We have some games that are like purely community games, and then we've got different roles for, you know, how long people have been playing. We do patron play, so most of those slots though are pretty short-lived. People get assassinated a lot. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, you'll come join out or join us and play a game. We've got more coming up next week, but a lot of this upcoming weekend, I'm taking a little bit of time to not run anything. So we'll see. But yeah, we do movie nights and all kinds of stuff in there and just sort of hang out. It's a lot of fun, and you'll get to meet some of my insane players.
Cool. I am jumping on your Discord right now, if it will let me.
You just need to put your social security. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that.
You see all that stuff. I'm a Gen Xer, and you know we're kind of the ones getting. Let's see.
Yeah, is it being?
Yeah, you know, but you see how well do you remember the 80s? And there's like, you know, cassette spines and pictures of David Hasselhoff and stuff like that. And it's data gathering, right? It's data harvesting.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm just waiting for the obvious ones. Like, how much did you love Back to the Future? Answer with the last 4 digits of your social security number and your birth date.
Exactly. It's I don't know. I just feel like everything nowadays is trying to get info from me. So, and they're getting smart about it too. I've had, because I do gig work in addition to doing this. So I'm a videographer and video engineer. But you know, they've gotten to the point where I will get emails that look the exact same as the ones that I get from my normal work. And they're like, hey, we've got just a gig coming up. You can come join. And I look at it, and it's like, I don't know, sent from halfway across the world from a fake email that just looks almost like the other guys. Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But
it gets pretty rough out there. So when you're on next, you're gonna have to we're gonna have to do like a greatest hits of events at your table, or at least I hope you would consider doing that when you're on next, and when you have more published stuff coming out, and maybe word on advanced B&B. I'm just saying.
The cake is a lie,
but
you know.
You got to take your radio right over to the right spot in the room and listen to the Morse code.
If you read Barrows and Borderlands backwards, the actual advanced version's hidden in the like it's been in the record backwards.
I like that. Advanced backward masking. I love it. So I've got to ask you before we go, because I'm planning on doing a video of it. Have you ever read this piece of crap?
What do we got there?
Mazes and Monsters. I have an actual hardback
the movie.
Copy.
I saw the movie.
Oh yeah, me too. I have an actual hardback of Mazes and Monsters, of videos coming on about that. So who knows? Maybe somebody will crawl into some steam tunnels and make you famous.
Hey, yeah, who knows? I need to. So I missed the era where D&D was being super vilified, and even in when I was a kid, small town, it was like, you guys play that weird game or whatever, but I never got to experience that fun. But the movie was hilarious.
Yeah. I did, and it was not hilarious at the time. I can laugh at it now, but we would be here another 2 hours going through that nonsense. But this is your time. This is my guest time.
I've heard horror stories though of people getting their white boxes burned and stuff like that. Like, oh.
Yeah, I was never a victim of Burnination, but it was placed up, and I was told not to touch it. Which, of course, Mom and Dad go to the grocery store. D&D books come out.
Yeah.
But again, that's for another time. Anyway, Matthew, thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Thanks
you
for
so
having
much
me.
for coming here.
I've been watching your show for years, so it's cool to come on.
I saw your stuff, and I'm like, there's no way I'm not having you on, because I was asking over on Twitter. I was like, because I want to make my own wood grain OD&D set. How hard can that be? A little slipcase box and some shelf paper. That's got to be super easy. And then you're like, it's not.
That was the rabbit hole I started down.
Yeah, so. that pulled you down. So thank you for teaching me. Thank you for guiding me down that rabbit hole, so I don't take too many bumps and bruises. And
no problem.
Thank you in advance, and you know why.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's all I'm going to say about that. Please help yourself to some schnapps and baklava in the green room while I send these kids to bed. And you will be back on. That's not a question. That's a statement letting you know that you'll be back on in the future. And in the meantime, while Matt kicks back and relaxes in the Barca Lounger there, I want to remind you guys, we'll be back tomorrow night to play some first edition Gamma World, where we will desecrate, irradiate, and perforate as many player characters as we possibly can. I, of course, have been the one and only Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver. It was an absolute blast to have you guys here. The question we didn't ask Matthew was, and this was an important one, we'll have to find out in the future, is in B&B, does he in fact have owl bears? Keep that on your mind. We'll ask him next time. Peace, everybody. Love you to pieces. See you tomorrow night.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere, in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around, some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle, way off course? Naked as a toad, all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.